Hi, I'm Patty McGarrahan from The Mind's Eye, and I'm here today with Laurie Leehan. And we had a strange thing. We actually met in New Jersey and took classes out there, and we're both from here, so the world is a small world. And so I'm so grateful to have her today. She does mediumship and she does Reiki. Hi, Laurie.
Hi, Patty. So great to be here today.
It's great to see you, yes. Yeah. I'm excited that you were able to come today. So, yeah, we had some great classes down there with Janet.
Yes.
Before she passed.
Yes, we did.
I found it was so weird because I had taken with Mavis and Janet, and then I also did with Lynn Andrews shaman work. And all three died within 9 years. So I told all my friends that I think there was some kind of a party up in heaven, and they forgot to tell the rest of us.
I think so,
because to have three of them that were kind of big names, I mean, two of them out of the same church, do you know what I mean? But California, the other one's California, and I did my classes at the Big Island.
Oh, yeah.
Nice place to have to go to take a class, you know?
Tough.
And yeah, so they all passed. So I'm so glad to have you here today. And so what did you get started in to get on this journey?
So I first learned Reiki, honestly. I've done a lot of volunteer work over the years, and I wanted to learn Reiki because I knew it helped cancer patients with pain management.
Beautiful.
And so when I took Reiki, as soon as I put my hands on people, I was getting visions. And at the time, I didn't know I was a medium. But it turned out that those visions were actually people in spirit.
Wow,
and
that's excellent. That happens every Reiki session I do, practically that happens.
Yeah. So
but I already knew I already did mediumship before I took Reiki, so I was on the opposite end, so that must have been really crazy for you at first, huh?
Yeah, it was crazy because the first person that came in when that happened, I put my hands on this guy. I saw a girl with long blonde hair, and it was at the time that the girl disappeared in Aruba.
Okay.
Natalie Holloway.
Yes.
And I think it was her that came in through spirit to
say
hello or whatever.
Was there a connection between him and that girl?
No.
No?
But I said, oh, you're going to meet this girl with long blonde hair, and I didn't know what I was talking about, you know. And then another woman got on the table. We were doing a Reiki share at the time, and I was seeing a windmill, and there's a windmill in Aruba. It's a windmill restaurant. And I was seeing the long, skinny boats like in an island. And so after the fact, like weeks later, I'm like, I think that was Natalie Holloway.
Yeah.
So, but I had spirits would be coming in once your light's on as a medium, they just keep coming. And I was getting a lot of children, actually.
Were you?
Come to me, so I'm saying, you know, who's your parent? Are you going to let me know? And it was kind of unnerving, honestly.
Yeah, was it? Yeah.
I was, basically somebody had sent me off to a spiritualist church. They said, oh, if you don't get a reading, you can... There's lots of spiritualist churches, which I didn't know there was even such a thing. So I went to the spiritualist church in Quincy and ended up taking classes there to hone my mediumship skills.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, I took a couple of things up in Quincy too, up there as well. So I'm surprised we haven't run into each other other places, huh? Yeah, the mediumship when you're doing Reiki. I have grandmother's tent. I have a strong connection because grandmahood is my favorite title. And when I do Reiki, I have a lot of grandmothers that come through. Wow. And they let me know if they have blockages while I'm working on the head. Before I go down the body, they let me know if they have a blockage in a certain thing. And sometimes they tell me the story that goes behind it.
Wow.
So it's pretty interesting for sure.
Yeah.
So the Reiki sessions, so now I've combined, I do a short like hypnosis thing, clearing and cleaning their chakras, like, so we do mind, body, and spirit.
Yes.
And then I flip to the Reiki, and it's been a big hit. I had a client ask me to do it, and I loved it, and I tried it on some other people, and everybody loved it. So, yeah, it's very cool. Yeah. So now you were talking about that you do Yusui Reiki.
Yes.
And also Holy Fire.
Yes. So with Sui Reiki, I'm a Reiki master. But when I was attuned as a therapist versus a teacher. And so I would like to teach Reiki because people have been asking me, do you teach it? And I think even if someone just did Reiki 1, that it's going to be so helpful for them to heal themselves.
So you're the Reiki master, but they didn't teach you how to do the attunements?
Not as a teacher. So I just did.
If you have your Reiki master, you are allowed to teach, just so that you know.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the time, because I've been a Reiki master since 2007.
Yeah.
So now I'm a Holy Fire Reiki master teacher, and I'm excited to be able to start teaching those classes.
Excellent,
So
excellent.
The Holy Fire is basically, it's just like a level, it's more refined than the Usui. Starts with Usui, but the Holy Fire is a new thing that's come out in the last 10
I did
years.
go to New York and I did Karuna Reiki. And I teach Karuna Reiki as well.
Nice.
When I do hypnotherapy, I love doing metaphysical better than clinical. You know, some people need clinical, so I do it.
Yeah.
But the metaphysical, it's almost like you can come in the back door and do so much more healing. You know, if you're doing soul restoration and, you know, soul retrievals and all this kind of stuff, you know, past lives. And I find that it has a lot. Well, Karuna Reiki, and I'm sure Holy Fire has some same stuff. Karuna Reiki has a lot of the symbols for childhood abuse, for addiction, for past life issues. So everything you can do, and the other Reikis you can do with your masters and regular Reiki, I just find they're faster.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's the same thing with your Holy Fire.
Yeah. With the Holy Fire, it's the Holy Fire symbol encompasses all the symbols from Usui. So you only need that one symbol, and it does everything.
Oh, cool. Excellent, excellent. Some of my people would love that because the long distance symbol gives them a headache.
Yes, exactly.
So some people would definitely like that.
Yeah.
So, so you started out with that, and when you were doing the Reiki, it opened up your mediumship.
Yes. Yep.
And then, when did you really find that the mediumship was opening up big? About how long ago?
Around that same time, it was 2007, as I mentioned, I became the Reiki master. And then in May of that year, I was in a bad car accident where somebody hit me from behind going like 40 miles an hour. I was stopped waiting to turn into my street. And I had severe whiplash and concussion. And that opened up my mediumship. I'd close my eyes and I was just seeing face after face after face.
Oh, wow.
Like a video. And it kind of scared me because I didn't really know it was a medium so much until, you know, that really opened it up.
Wow.
And then one night I couldn't take it because I couldn't sleep, and it was just like the spirits are always around me from that. I said, go away, and I literally heard like a door slam in my head.
Wow.
It was crazy, and then I calmed down for a while.
I developed a switch, like a light switch, and when I put the switch off, it's done.
Yeah.
And I have running water, who's a spirit guide, and when I hit the second step going into my office, he switches me from the left brain to the right brain. And when I'm coming out, he switches me back, and he clips any cords so that way I don't bring home anybody else's stuff.
That's a good idea.
Oh, I got it all set up, baby.
I have it set now that I can turn it. It's not on unless I turn it on. Because people ask me, well, there's people around me? I'm like, if I turn it on, if I look over your shoulder, I can see somebody there.
Yeah. But I totally understand that because I where my shop is and where my house is and then where Stop and Shop is, everything is so close together.
Yeah.
So I would see a lot of people in there and I'd have like groups come up to me and go, are you getting a feeling? Yeah. And I said, I get a feeling that my husband wants pastrami, do you know what I mean? Because I don't want to see everybody's dead people around them when I go in there.
Right.
And I've seen them since I was a kid. And I thought everybody did, and then shut it off in my teenage years when I said to my friends, look at all the kids, all their parents and grandparents and great-grandparents are watching over them. And they looked at me like, who are you and who took my friend, you know?
Yeah.
So, and then 2 weeks after graduation, I opened it back up. But,
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I would get the messages, but I didn't know what that was. And a complete stranger, I feel like I need to give you this message. And then it turned out just like, okay, this is weird, and I kind of shut it down. And when I was probably like 19 or 20 and never really did anything again until I was like 40. And when I learned the Reiki and then realized.
You got yourself on that right brain and got yourself rocking and rolling.
And then realized it runs in the family on my mother's side. So.
There usually is a lot of family connection. My mom had it, and the long story, but I'll make the Reader's Digest version, which is my great-grandmother played with an Indian and then was forced to marry somebody else, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I have some of the Indian blood in me too, and I go to the Narragansett Indians and they go, you're one of us. Because I had like almost black hair, but my father's was blacky brown, do you know what I mean? So nobody ever thought anything of it, but my mother had said, take that Indian baby back and give me mine. And she didn't see me till 3 days afterwards because her blood pressure went off and they had to knock her out.
Yeah.
So I shouldn't have still been red, but I was.
Yeah.
And but anyway, so I have a little bit of that in me, and I have a strong connection. But my mother, I know my mother kept herself very almost housebound. She'd go to stores and everything. She kept her circle this small, and I think it was because she saw death.
Yeah.
And with seeing death, it was very disconcerting when you just know somebody's going to die or someone of their relatives are going to die. So I showed her the write-up about it, and I did a lot of research to let her know that she was probably meant to be one of the Indians that crossed people over.
Oh, yeah.
She did not want to hear that baby, not at all. So she kept in her spot. But I do know that it was my mother's side, and I thought I got it all from my mother's side because my dad was like high IQ. We took everything that he figured out that was smart, and it wasn't until after he passed you realize some of those things intelligence can't figure out. You have to have more than just that, you know?
Yeah.
So I think I had a little bit on both sides. So
That's true.
Isn't it cool?
Yeah. My grandmother on my mother's side would have premonitions. She'd have one night she dreamt about a fire. The next morning she's looking out the window, and my brother had a tree hut, and him and his friend accidentally lit it on fire. So she saw the fire.
Wow.
My grandfather had to go out and put it out. And when I get into mediumship, like I'm like the black sheep in the family. Nobody else in the family's into any of the stuff or even would really acknowledge me.
But that's nice being the black sheep sometimes. My mother called me the different one. I liked being the different one.
But once I started doing mediumship, then my mother admitted to me that she would feel somebody tap on her shoulder in the morning to wake her up. And she felt it was her father.
Yeah.
And then she ended up becoming my biggest cheerleader.
Yeah, when I opened the mind's eye, my mother said, "What am I going to tell all my friends?" And I said, "The few friends you have are dead, so it's not a problem. I'm talking to them all the time, you know." And she shook her head, and I said, "I'm still an accountant if that's what you need to tell people." But it freaked her out at first when I went into this.
Yeah.
My father is one of those cool with everything type of guy, so he was easygoing about everything.
My father wasn't into any of this stuff.
No.
But then I ended up basically helping him cross over at the very end, giving him Reiki.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the day that he was dying. My mother texted
Isn't that a
me.
beautiful thing that you can do that?
She said, you better come, your father's not doing well. So I went to the house, and the hospice nurse was there. And I don't know, she didn't know what to do next for him or whatever, but I said, I'm a Reiki master. She goes, oh, whatever it is, do your thing. And she left the room.
Nice. Let you do your
My father
thing.
was sitting on the edge of the bed, and I'm thinking, what do? I have Reiki, I can do all these things. So I just took my hand to put it over one of his hands. And within 30 seconds, he said, don't leave me.
How beautiful, huh?
Yeah.
I had this lady in the
Incredible.
neighborhood. All the kids kind of had her as Grandma Grace. She was one of the friends. We had a bunch of kids, and we used to call them the Haven Street Posse.
Yeah.
You either had no kids at your house or you had 9 kids at your house, you know. And this grandmother, she was a ticket and a half. I love her. I still do, and I still talk to her. She dragged her daughter and I to a lot of classes that moved me along, that I'll always be grateful for. And she used to say in the classes, Lynn and Patty, they do the mediumship thing, but I don't really do it. I just say to my husband, stop changing that channel on that TV. It was cute as a button. But she had her daughter call me up. She wanted me to do Reiki, hypnosis, and bring my notary stamp. And so I went over to the house, and the hypnosis, what she asked me to do for hypnosis, I know it was to help her daughter let go of her. The daughter was the only child, and the father had died when she was young.
Yeah.
And the Reiki was for her, for easier transition. And the notary was, the one thing she forgot to do was sign the car over. And so she signed the car over, and I notarized. I called it the one-stop shopping, you know. And I went there, and 2.5 hours after I did it, she passed.
Wow.
I left,
Yeah, they
she
say the
knew.
loved ones wait, yeah.
And she was so spritey and everything, and excited that I was doing these things with her.
Yeah.
I never in a million years thought it would be that fast. I knew she was going.
Yeah.
But she just needed those things done, and once her list was checked off, hasta la vista.
Yeah.
And I'm sure she had to make, probably the 2.5 hours of making sure her daughter was ready to let her go.
Yeah.
Because they were best buds. They really were, yeah.
That's high.
So it's cool. Some of the stories that you get are such blessings in our life, huh?
They really are. And all the signs that you get, like as a medium, we were telling other people, look for the signs from your loved ones. But when we get our own signs, it's just incredible. When my mother was my best friend, really. And, when I really feel like I need her on certain days, the cardinal comes to the window. Cardinal shows up, just hangs out. Like it doesn't just land.
To my dad, it's a robin.
So, yeah.
And my mom is usually about 5 feet behind her. And I have a male and a female robin, and they're on those steps. And you slam your door shut on your car, and you see a robin standing there, they fly away.
Yeah.
They just stand there and stare into my eyes for like a minute and a half, and I know they're around me. It gets me so happy.
Yeah.
Because I know that they're around me.
There is such comfort with those signs. My mother passed on Groundhog's Day, and there's a groundhog that actually comes up onto my deck to the slider and looks in like a dog. Never. We had a groundhog in our house years when we were kids, but they never came anywhere near people. This one comes right up like it's a pet.
That is so funny.
Meanwhile, my neighbor wants to catch it and relocate it. I'm like, no, that's like my mother's sign.
Does she believe in this stuff, the neighbor, or does she think you're nuts?
Oh, no, yeah, they believe in it.
Oh, good.
I told them I was a medium. They called me, like, oh, you have to come in. I was at the house for like 2 hours talking about stuff, but yeah.
It's excellent, the people we can help and that kind of stuff. It's incredible.
It is.
Incredible. I've had some people, I had a lot of people this winter that lost people in their 30s. And I had too, but mine was a couple of years ago. Yeah. But I lost a daughter in the 30s, so it's almost like now I attract that a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So losing people in the 30s, and it was like everyone was a different story, and it was like very strange ways. But the fact that you've experienced it, and the fact that you get the mediumship that you can give them stuff that nobody else knows, it's so healing.
Yeah,
I can tell you, I did a church service. The church was supposed to be open in March, I think it was, but it ended up they didn't open it in April. It's some of the spiritual churches in Connecticut, up around exit 70 to 75. They have like 6 or 7 that are interlocked.
Oh, nice.
And I now work at Pine Grove.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, I work at it 1 week out of the summer.
Nice.
Jean Mandeville got me involved in it, and I love Jean. And anyway, so I did, some of the other churches have had me do them. I'm booked for a couple of them. And I thought I was going to the church and I had to do it online. And online and I are not good friends, do you know what I mean? But, so we did have a problem that my father used to say, do you stick the fingers in the cigarette holder because you burn out more batteries than everybody I know? I think I have a little bit of electric current from the mediumship and stuff sometimes.
Sure you do.
So this poor girl, I'm doing it, and there's like maybe 15 people from the church coming, and this poor girl, I felt bad for the first one I read. No matter what they did, the camera showed her. So she was like mortified because I'm talking to other people, but it's her face on the screen all the time. So she had me look at the sky, which was really good, and they played beautiful music, and my daughter came to me. And I had one tear come down, and I'm so used to seeing her, I don't usually get emotional, but I had one tear come down, and she handed me the hand of a 25-year-old, blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl, and she said her mother needs a message for her. She put the hand in my hand and then left. And so I said to them, and it was the girl that was running it, it was her daughter. She lost her 25-year-old daughter, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, and I got beautiful messages, but I have to thank my own daughter for doing it, because she really set the whole thing up for me. And a couple of events I've done, I can tell that it's her verbiage coming out, because I learned how to soften things up a little bit, and she hadn't. So some of it came up, and one of my mediumship circles at the shop was so funny, because my daughter asked if she could come, because I try to keep my people out of the shop, because it's supposed to be about them, not me, you know. And she asked to come, and I knew my mouth was, she was talking through my mouth. And the lady texted me later, she was a regular client and lost where my daughter went. And my grandson had the phone, so the phone was still answering. And so she didn't know what had happened to her, just came to this, did not know I was her mother.
Oh,
but I
wow.
told a story about signs and some of the signs she gives me.
Yeah.
And in the process, isn't it cool?
It is.
It is so cool.
It's just a constant reminder that there's life after the change called death. Mm-hmm. You know?
And it's very healing. Mm-hmm. It's very healing.
Yeah.
Do you find, though, sometimes, though, it's hard because you almost feel guilty grieving when you lose somebody because you get to talk to them? Do you have that issue? Yeah. I sometimes do that, and then I have to give myself a break and let me do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's true. Yeah. That's true.
Now, do you get, do you see things? Do you feel things? Or do you hear things when you?
All of them.
All of them?
Yeah. I used to always wish I could see because I didn't see, but I have the knowing about it.
Yep.
But now, probably the last 5 years, I can just look over someone's shoulder and see the person. It's usually there with them.
Yep.
You know, and then I go from there.
Well, I had to laugh because I have a test that I do during classes and stuff like that. And sometimes when I have clients, I have to do it. So I'm not saying see if they don't see, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's so funny because when I first took it, clairaudient was my weak point. And then clairsentinel was the strongest, and I had good clairvoyant.
Yeah.
But I also, a lot of it was, I felt and then I saw. And my grandson, who's going to be a medium times 10, rubs my shoulder and says, "Grandma, you feel it, and you have like 20 people talking in your head." He goes like that, like that's not his cup of tea, right?
Yeah.
And he turns around and says, "I feel them. I bring up a picture of them, and then I talk to them like you and I are talking."
Oh, wow.
And I said, "Oh, how cool."
Yeah.
She made me realize it. And I'd gone to a thing with Thomas John, and I double connected it.
Yeah.
And I had taken a class where a girl was mad because she had a student that followed her around and double connected all the time.
Yeah.
And she had problems with it. And I didn't. So I was laughing like heck, Laurie, because I double connected. I was in a spirit circle with Thomas John down in Florida, the Afterlife Conference.
Yeah.
It's so much cheaper than seeing him and going in a circle at 850, you know what I mean, whatever. So I did the that and I double connected, and it was 3 people from the same family, so I had like 20 people talking in my head.
Wow.
And Thomas John turned to me and he goes, "You have 20 people talking in your head. How do you handle that?" And I said, "I just do." And then I realized, I said, "I'm disconnecting him." So I disconnected, and all of a sudden he had beautiful messages. But I didn't realize that. And then my grandson didn't know anything about that, and then 2 weeks later said, "You've got to understand, we're all different how we get it." He's like 9 years old telling me this.
Yeah.
We're all different how we get it. Isn't it cool? So I was just wondering how you got it.
It is very different, because sometimes I'll hear words, but I'll see them too. When I first started mediumship, I would have smells, so I'd smell cigarettes or dirt or flowers or whatever. Or
Chantilly.
Yeah, somebody's cologne or perfume.
Gina Tay or Chantilly.
Yeah.
The powder boxes with the grandmothers. Yeah, I love it.
But then it shifted more. And that was when I did more indirect mediumship, so I didn't really know who the spirit was for. And I'd ask spirit who was it for, and they would give me a color. And I'd look around the room and there'd be only one person with that color on.
Oh, excellent. That's so cool.
It was very accurate. So
yeah,
that was fun. But then it shifted, because when when you're learning mediumship, you think, oh, I've crafted this, now I know how to do it, and then spirit switches it up. So it's so different now.
Absolutely.
The way I do mediumship than when I first started.
It's so cool. It is so cool.
Yeah. Whether it's message or words, I get songs a lot of times for people.
Yep.
So
I get I laugh at my husband was the first one that I could really hear. And he would laugh from the pit of his stomach. He had the greatest laugh. Yeah. And so I get that from him. And he always says, he likes to say to me, "I'm still a full-time job when I'm aggravated, when I find some paperwork that's a mess and I have to fix it." You know what I mean? And stuff like that. And how do you do you get some past life connections with people when you're reading them?
I get that knowing.
Okay.
About, you know, especially if I meet someone I feel like I've had past lives with them. You know, you get that.
I took a clear mediumship class with Tony Stockwell down in Florida at Karma Castle. Yeah. And I got bits and pieces, usually in tarot readings more, but I got bits and pieces, and now it's coming through so strong, the past life connections. I'm excited about it, awesome. So everything changes and everything grows, so you're absolutely, I agree with you 100%.
And I believe we come in soul groups, so,
Oh,
you know, if there's someone you don't get along with, you're probably working out some karma
absolutely.
in this life from some other
And
life.
sometimes my clients don't understand why great-grandma that they never met is coming through to them.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that she wasn't sister, brother, or was something in another life. We still, I've been told that we don't reincarnate for 100 years because we want to be able to watch over 4 generations of our family. So. So just because they're still in your soul group, if they were your great grandma, they're still in your soul group, you know.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting, very interesting.
Yeah. Sometimes spirit will come through, and the person getting the reading doesn't want to hear from them. Oh, that's my mother-in-law. I didn't like her, or whatever it is, whoever the person is.
Yeah.
But we always say, well, they come in for a reason. They have a message, and the message is what's important.
And a lot of times it's sorry,
Yes.
and they want to let them know that karmically they're sending them the right people, places, and things in their path to make up for how they weren't too good to them on Earth.
Yeah,
and in a lot, I have one client. Don't even say her name. And I'm like, oh my God, okay, you know.
Yeah.
But it's a trip. In here, I just want to make sure that we get it in because I could talk forever with you, and with everybody. On this subject extra. How can people get a hold of you? Facebook?
Yes, Facebook.
Laurie Leehan?
Yeah, I have a studio in Carver, Whispers of Hope and Healing.
Oh, nice.
In Carver, Mass. And I've
Excellent.
been there since January.
Nice.
So I offer Reiki, mediumship, and I teach classes. So I've been teaching mediumship classes, energy
Nice.
classes.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
And if anybody has any problems getting a hold of her, they can get a hold of me, and I can always find her. You know, so
I have a website. My website's laurieleehan.com.
Okay.
I'm on Facebook and Instagram.
Instagram.
find
Okay.
me there.
Excellent. Excellent. So back to the medium. Tell me something about what kind of classes do you do? Do you do like full day mediumships or?
Well, I usually do like the 2-hour class, which is like a 4 to 6 week program.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, right now.
And what do you do? Set at a topic or a section?
So they're learning, so for beginner mediumship, they're learning about the different clairs, as you mentioned, and how to work with the energy.
Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah.
Yes.
The classes are great because it helps them to refine the energy. Because like I said, when I first learned I was a medium, spirits from all over the place were coming to me. I mean, I felt like someone was standing next to my bed at night.
Yeah.
And that can be kind of scary, honestly.
Yeah. Not me. I thought it was cool even back then. But I was always the different one, you know. So yeah, I found it very cool.
And people are coming, even if they don't necessarily want to be a medium, they don't want to go and do that, but for themselves, because they are getting information or they are getting weird things happening to them.
Okay.
And so it helps them.
Excellent, excellent. I'm so glad that you were able to come on here today and kind of rejoin because I haven't seen you in a while.
I know.
And for a while there, we were bumping into each other at Journey Within in New Jersey quite often.
Yeah, I'm actually in Janet's ministry program.
Oh, are you?
So I'll be
Oh, good
ordained in
for
August.
you.
Yep.
Good for you. Yeah.
looking forward
So
to
you're
that.
doing that?
Yeah.
Yep. I love the spiritual church and I love everything it does, but I stay just 2 steps back because some of the politics I don't play well. And I know I don't, so it's I stay pretty clear of that a little bit. But I love to do it, and I love to watch it. So I'm excited for you. You'll have to give me updates on it, and I'm sure I'll have you back here sometime soon, too, as well. And again, I thank you so much for joining us today. And Laurie Leehan on Facebook. And as I said, if you need help getting her, let me know, and I will get her. For you.
Great. Thank you so much for having
You're
me.
welcome. I so enjoyed having you. Yep. So we're doing the credits now. So what kind of